What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay, and today we're going to do a book unhaul. But before we get to that, let me just say this. I watch some book hauls, some book unhauls on YouTube, and I am interested to know, those that are hauling 20 plus books a month, where do you put them? Where do you put them? I don't have that much book storage. I have 2 bookcases behind me, and I have this TBR cart right over here, which is why I don't haul a lot of books. I have room to put more bookshelves, but the closest IKEA to me is 3 hours away. So I have to drive 3 hours, and we may make a trip soon because I feel like I need one more shelf to add to my collection. So because of this, and I'm running out of room and the books are just stacking up everywhere, I decided to kind of unhaul some books. And I could probably have been more ruthless than this. There are some series that are kind of like up in the air of whether I want to keep them or not. But these are the ones that I knew for a fact that had to go. So we will start with Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I know that people love this book, and I thought, and it's Dusty, I thought the book was just okay. It wasn't my favorite. I liked the beginning, the middle got meandering, and I didn't really care for the end, but I've heard that people don't like the second book in the series. Third book's not out yet, but they don't like it as much. And seeing as I just thought this one was okay, I'm just going to go ahead and haul it because I don't think I'm going to continue on. The next one is the mass market paperback of The Governor's Game. I read it. I thought this was a fun time, but I don't feel like I need to keep this on my shelf. Another one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I did like this book, and I liked the second one, and I DNF'd the third one. I did not like the direction it went, and in my opinion, it jumped the shark, as what they say in movies or television. I'm also going to get rid of Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This was not one of my favorite Riley Sager books, so I felt like I could get rid of it with no issues. I also am going to get rid of Ruth Ware's The It Girl. I liked this. I gave it 4 stars when I read it, but I don't like it enough to keep it, and I'm not going to reread it, of course, because I don't reread thrillers. Same thing goes up for Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. This is another thing. I liked it when I read it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but it's a thriller. I'm not going to reread it. I have some middle grades that I'm getting rid of. The first one is The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris. Originally, I thought that I would keep this for my daughter. I don't think that she's going to be reading this anytime soon. And while I enjoyed this, it just wasn't my super favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. And in the same vein is going to be A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. I love this cover. And I read this. I gave it, I don't know, looking back, it's probably more of a 3-star. It was fine, but it wasn't my favorite. But the cover is stunning. Then a series that I DNF from one of my favorite authors, Mr. Brandon Sanderson, is going to be Stillheart. So I read Stillheart and thought it was fine. I tried to get through the second book in the series and I just could not. So this is his YA superhero, supervillain kind of story, which, you know, if that sounds like something up your alley, you might want to try it, but it was not for me. Also some books that I may not have read and I'm deciding to get rid of. That's going to be Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I just don't read this. It's not in my genre that I normally read. I haven't even seen the movie, and at this point it's been on my shelves for a long time and I have never reached for it. Likewise, it's going to be The Memory Man by David Baldacci. Now this series is very long, very well beloved here, but I don't think it's in my wheelhouse, and if I want to try it, I can get it from the library. However, it's been sitting on my shelf for a very long time. Another book series that is maybe shocking that I've never read, and that's going to be Artemis Fowl. I have this old, used, yellowed copy of the first book in the series. I don't own any other books in the series, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this. I probably will read it at some point, but I can get it from my library. Then I am going to get rid of this chunker, and that's going to be Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. Listen, Terry Goodkind, I've heard not very great things about him. I've heard that the first couple books in the series are fine, and then it kind of goes downhill from there. So I really don't feel like getting invested in a long series that I know is going to go downhill. So I'm just going to get rid of that. A book that I did read and just thought was okay, and this is a classic and people are not going to be happy with me, and that's going to be House Moving Assault by Diane Wynne Jones. And I thought it was fine, but I don't have a need to keep it. the next two are part of the same series, and I think I may have included the Unhaul video previously, but then my heart just kind of got guilty for getting rid of these, and that's going to be Traitor to the Throne and Hero at the Fall. So this book starts with Rebel of the Sands, which I had a paperback copy of, and I got rid of it quite a little while ago. I unhauled it last year, I think, and I decided said I was going to unhaul these, but then I got guilty because Traitor to the Throne was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely positively loved it, but it's not a series that I ultimately think is one of my favorites, so it can just go to a new home. Another darling book that I'm going to be getting rid of because I have the very controversial opinion that this book was just not for me, and I think it was just overhyped, is going to be Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. And there's nothing wrong with liking this cozy fantasy, but it just was not for me. The Secret by Julie Garwood is a very classic kind of romantic suspense novel, I believe, and very, very well loved, and if I read it, I can get it from the library. This is a little mass market paperback edition. I haven't read it, but maybe one day. Another book, a book of the month, was 56 Days by Catherine Howard. I've heard mixed reviews on this, and it's been sitting on my shelf forever, and I just have not gotten to it. It deals with COVID, and I just don't know that I want to read it. If I want to read it one day, I can get it from my library. So here's some books that I have read and have enjoyed. The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I think this is a very important book, and I really loved it. It's an emotional read. It is about rape, I believe, and highly trigger warnings. Look them up before you read this book, but I don't think I need to keep it. The Roommate by Rosie Danan. I liked this as a romance, okay, but again, not one of my favorites, not one I need to keep. All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. I really like this. I liked the mental health representation in it, even though it gets a bad rap for its mental health representation, so just know that going in. You may want to look up reviews, trigger warnings. It has to do with, like I said, depression, suicide, mental health. Another book that I never read, and for a good measure, is going to be The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. I don't think I'll ever read this at all. Another series that gets a lot of love, but one that I don't feel like I want to read anymore is going to be The Maximum Ride by James Patterson. So I don't know even what this series is about or much about it, but I don't think I need to read it at this time. If you saw my wrap up for February, you will know that I DNF'd A Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe by Alex White. Unfortunately, this book just was not for me, even though I wanted to love it, so it's going to go. Also, in February, I read The Measure and didn't really care for it, so it is going to go. But I also am very sad to say, let me hold these up and let you know what I'm going to be getting rid of. I saved the best for last. Iron Gold and Dark Age. Now listen here. You might be like saying, Shay, why are you getting rid of Iron Gold and Dark Age? And the answer to that is, number one, this is a used copy. There's like, I put like sticker goo on it. I know you probably can't see. And I brought this used, and it's, I mean, the book itself is in okay condition, but the slipcover is not really in good condition. And so this is one of my favorite series of all time. So I would like to get a newer copy that's not so beat up. And also, Dark Age, it's the same thing. This copy, unfortunately, got water damage. So there's mold throughout the book and wrinkled pages, and I don't know if you can see. It got molded, it got water damaged. The whole back side of the book is water damaged. So I'm going to be hopefully getting a new copy of Dark Age sometime soon to go on my shelves to fill up the missing holes. Okay, so that's all for the unhaul. Probably will unhaul later when I have enough courage to be as ruthless as I probably should be, but I'm not going to do that for now. It's me coming in a little bit later, popping in to say I did think about it, and I have come up with some more books that I want to get rid of because I need room on my shelves. So first one is Night Books by J.A. White. I enjoyed this when I read it. It's a middle grade. I thought that I would share it with my daughter. However, my daughter is not the biggest reader and she likes to pick her own books. So I'm going to let her do that. But I highly recommend this. There is a adaptation to this on Netflix that I haven't even watched yet, but I enjoyed this spooky middle grade book. Another middle grade book that I'm going to get rid of is The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. Again, it's a middle grade. I'm not reaching for middle grade these days. And while I would like to keep this for my daughter, she likes to pick her own books. I'm going to get rid of this movie copy of The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and if I want to purchase another copy, a better copy, I will. I also have a duplicate copy of Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, so I'm going to get rid of this copy. I also have several Nancy Drew books, which I had collected I was trying to collect the first 10, but I think this is 6. If I find any more, they will also go. I thoroughly enjoyed Nancy Drew. She was a big part of my childhood, but I just don't feel the need to keep on to these as my daughter does not show an interest in reading them. The Prison Healer by Lynette Nani. This is a book that I gave 3 stars. I just don't feel the need to continue on in that series. My Lady Jane by Cynthia Han, Brodie Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. I have heard a lot of great things about this book, but it's just not my genre, so I'm going to pass on that. Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers. I never read this when it came out, but it's still very popular. This is a library copy though, and so if I read it and like it, I will buy a better copy. Night Road by Kristen Hanna. This is the same. This is a very used copy of the Night Road. I have a lot of Kristen Hanna books down here that are in like the paperback, so if I read this and like it, I will repurchase it in the paperback. All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bren Greenwood, which is a very controversial novel. I liked it at the time I read it. I gave it 4 stars, but I just don't see the need to keep it on my shelf. And finally, The Book of Night by Holly Black. Heard nothing but terrible things about this book, and so I'm just no longer interested in reading it. Okay, so back to original video Shay. Let me know how you guys store your books. Where do you put extra books? I'm trying not to haul any books because I just don't have any room for them. I need to get another shelf. Let me know what you do with that. Also, just FYI, I think my husband is going to kill me because every time I Unhaul books, it goes into stacks, like in the corner, and I keep meaning to be like, oh, I'm gonna go take it to the used bookstore, which by the way, the used bookstore is 30 minutes away from me, so if I'm gonna go, I have to travel 30 minutes. It's there's lots of traffic and stuff, so I just don't go there that often. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take it to the used bookstore, and then I never wind up going there, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take it to little free libraries and disseminate them that way. And I also am not very great about doing that because by the time I think about it, I'm like, oh, it's dark already. I can't go. So I need to be better because there are stacks of books everywhere that need to be unhauled, need to be gone out of this house. And so maybe I will do that sometime soon and vlog that experience and see what we have with the little free libraries in town. We have like 8. So that will be a great project for the near future.